fact sheet, we're kind of look at the numbers for pension. I think we have 38 veterans within the community of Lassen County that are receiving a pension. A goal of mine is to seek out veterans who could qualify for pension. Like again, that's low-income veterans who could receive a stipend from the federal government to get them up to a poverty level. I wanted to make it a goal to raise that figure from 38 to however many there are in the county. We're going to be able to do that with the outreach services that we provide to the one-stops in Beaver, Westwood, and Furlong. So that's some of our main efforts, some of our goals. Another goal is to provide more information to veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. The President has made it clear that he's going to be drawing down on troops. So we expect to see more veterans making the transition from military to civilian. And our office is usually that first stop. So we make it a goal to snag those veterans and get them in and get them helped out. That's where we're at. Any questions from Supervisors?
Is there no VSO in Modoc, Thomas, and Sierra counties? Do they not have that office?
They do. They do have the VSO office, but they do not have any healthcare clinics or anything of that nature. And the VA, they usually recommend, or it's mandated that a veteran who's seeking disability compensation be given this what's called a C&P exam. As a VA physician, he does kind of the head-to-toe examination to determine the extent of the disability.
So we're getting a lot of their vets into our community just to get this exam to go to the next level into the VA in Reno.
Right.
And you said that they get 1,000 visits. Is that annual at the veterans?
I believe that's a total number. I'm not sure if that's an annual figure or.
I'm just trying to figure out how much business we're getting from those visits, and it's a considerable amount. Mm-hmm. People are coming to this veterans health clinic, and they're spending money. They're staying in our community, and they're shopping in our community.
Sure.
I've seen the efforts that Todd and his staff have made, and I got to tell you, it's above and beyond. They seek out a lot of these veterans that are very reluctant to have help. A lot of them are real reluctant to have help. And I really commend you guys on the job you guys do. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate this. I just wanted to point out that there's one typo before I want to fix before you distribute this on the facts and services sheet.
Okay.
On the column that says eligible veterans, if you go down to the bottom, there's 40 receiving the monthly payment of $2,816. That should be $112,640. But you have listed as $12,000.
We did find that.
Yeah, we corrected that error.
But Todd didn't hand them out.
I have a corrected version if you like that.
I have two.
It's right here.
Yeah. Oh, I got the
They handed out another correction.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'll do my best to keep the supervisors updated. Like I say, we're expecting more veterans coming to us, so expect these figures to increase. We have veterans, the figures for PTSD and TBI for returning veterans is 1 in 5. So we expect to see an increase in disability compensation for those disabilities.
I'd like to echo Mr. Hammond's compliment to you, Todd. I enjoy reading his columns in the paper. I follow him also through Facebook, and I have numerous opportunities to be in and around the Veterans Memorial Hall during the week, during the month, over a period of time. And I would say that he and his associates have really stepped up the game, and I really think that we've accomplished a lot here in recent months see the focus and the attention's there. And I think there's a big need, and we're just scratching the surface of it. I'm working with the Behavioral Health Board, sitting on that as a representative from this board, and Veteran Services is very much in mind there, and I know Mel has worked real well to bring about partnerships of the various entities that are involved there. So I think we're doing a fabulous job, and I just want to thank Todd and commend him and the rest of his crew for doing the job they're doing, and look forward to seeing that grow and become even better.
Yes, the CalVet MHSA grant that they get and the matching funds we provide to behavioral health for the Veterans Peer Program has really boosted the numbers of veterans we've enrolled in a lot of programs, and it's been very helpful. I provided just a quick information on the budget there. It's for 13-14, we have $23,000 from the actual Department of Veterans Affairs in California. And that's typically based on this formula they have for work units. Basically, the more veterans they can enroll in services, the more we can get a little more money from the state on that. And then we have the $20,000 from the Mental Health Services Act through CalVet, and then we have the $20,000 from our own Mental Health Services Act funding. And then in the general fund, there's $92,955 for a total of $155,955. We are anticipating receipt of our first Medi-Cal Administrative Activity Funds either late October, early November. And we're kind of excited to see what that'll be and where that might take us in the coming years. What we are hoping to do with that is come back for a budget adjustment, maybe start paying Todd a living wage, and see if we can increase some hours for his staff so that we can continue to keep veterans getting enrolled. So
when would you anticipate that will come back?
I would imagine we'd be here in November, December for a mid-year adjustment to the budget.
Melody, you have a pretty receptive board for that.
Yeah, I figured as much. Well, it's something we've wanted to do for a while, but we needed to have plenty of activity over there to justify that. And
You
we've
got
got it.
that.
Todd and his
Got
crew are
that.
doing a great job. The Veterans Peer folks are doing an awesome job bringing people in.
Yeah.
Down there at the bottom of the fact sheet, I included my phone number and email. If there's any questions or anything that come up, feel free to give me a call.
Yeah, I'd love the opportunity to be able to support it in my vote, so you guys vote into December.
Some sheets here to hand out if anybody wants some.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Yeah, hi.
I'm Moose Mueller for a few you don't know who I am. And I want to say that when you asked about the appointments, for me, for example, I'm on blood thinner. So that saves me 12 trips a year going down to, all the way down to Reno. The other thing is, my flu shots, if I need to see a doctor for something, it's right here in town. And it has really helped me out because each trip is not only expensive, but I'm pretty much disabled, and that's a long day for me. And I really appreciate how good they're doing, and I feel that, I know they would like another slot, and I pray and hope that they get it, because I feel that they've really done well in serving our needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Mike Starr. I'm with the Lassen County Veteran Service Office, have been working there since 2009, part-time. I have a handout here I'd like to give to the board, make sure that everyone receives a copy of this. This is all public information that was, and it's just as you receive this, you're going to notice there's a couple highlighted spots at the bottom here. I'll wait till everyone gets one of those.
We already have it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I see. But anyway, down here at the bottom, you'll see the Veteran Service Officer is a department head. And he has a pay scale of 16. Now, as you glance through this, you're going to look at the rest of these. At the rest of these department heads, and you're gonna go, oh my, they're in 30s, they're in the 40. And this department, we're talking about somebody that brings into this community, how many millions of dollars a year? I heard almost $5 million, and that's just what's bringing into this county. And his budget's $155,000 a year. That's low. That's a small budget. That's a very small budget. And then we bring in these people from these other counties. They come to us from Lake Elsinore, they come from Chester. Maybe we have somebody that comes over from Fall River Mills, but they like us over here. They come all the way from Hallelujah Junction. They come here. Tom, you're right. They come by your store. They come by. Anybody knows here that a dollar that's in this, we're talking about $5 million that comes in as tax-free income that's spent. And that money's spent in here. How many times does that turn over in this community? A lot. Okay, let's go back through and see why this was this way. What happened back years ago when this office started, most of these people that worked in this office were retired military personnel. You know, we go back to Chet Spiegel. He was retired Air Force. He was receiving his Air Force retirement, so he had a part-time, he had a job here, working here, and so they kept his salary down. They said, he doesn't need a lot of money, he's got his Air Force retirement, we'll pay him a little bit. Then we went to Larry Rogers. He's retired military. Worked out at Sierra Army Depot. Worked out there for retired military. This was his money. He enjoyed doing the job. He did it for a long time. Then we went to Mike Snyder. Mike Snyder, same thing, retired military. His wife worked out at her long. They both had federal retirements, and he was working this. Didn't have to worry about a lot of money. Then next came Susan Hawkins. Susan Hawkins came to work here, and she said, my God, this is a lot of work. Not only do I have a caseload, I have to do all these reports, federal and state reports to CDBA and everything else like this. And she started looking around. She said, my God, there's a position over here at Behavioral Health that pays about twice as much as this, and I don't have to, I'll still have a caseload, but I don't have to do all the rest of that stuff. Bam, she's gone. Todd comes in here. The requirements for this job, you need a college education. Todd has a college education. And plus he's put in 3 or 4 years of military service. How many years is that? That's about 7, 8 years preparing for a job like this, and we're paying them like this. It's time to pay the piper. We're going to have to move them up here. You've seen this. You see the money he's generating here. I would ask that this inequity be resolved. I'm sure the rest of the veterans in this room, the people in this room will agree with me 100% that it's time that we move up and make this, the salary that he's getting paid, you can't even raise a family on. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to respond to that. First of all, I totally appreciate that. In fact, it's an issue that, some of the members of the board have already communicated to county administration that we want to see changed. And that's going to be taking place regardless of whether you're here today or not. But I appreciate you being here and expressing that. And I think that the arrangement, I go back even farther than your list, going back to Joe Spears, a retired Navy, had the job for 20 years. At the time with the retirement programs that they're in, there's a cap as to what the retirees can earn without affecting the amount of their retirement. And so it was at the request of those various retirees that the salary was kept kind of low. But I think the recognition, and I think Mel Brawley should be given credit for it, and I think the board as a whole, in terms of discussing at budget time, is that instead of relying on retirees to provide the service, we need to have somebody younger, somebody who's fresh out of the service, as Todd demonstrates, somebody who has the connectivity to deal with the new generation of vets that are coming into our community, to get them engaged in the services. And I think that's where we're seeing the growth in the numbers. And I think we recognized early on when we made that paradigm shift of trying to recruit somebody younger rather than relying on the retirees who have the pensions but have caps as to how much they can earn in addition to their pension. And that was the way the program had been structured. So I think that particular inequity you're talking about is going to be addressed, should be addressed, and is in the process of being addressed. The good news is that we want to see people like Todd and others like him who come along to be engaged in this particular program. So we're in the process of actually building and expanding it. And I think the report that he presented here just a bit ago is an indication of where this program has really matured in the last couple of years. And that's something that I think has been looked to and has been encouraged, and I think it should be respected that way. So hopefully the request that you have will be accommodated. I think county administration has already been given that task, and hopefully we'll be coming back to the board with the appropriate personnel action.
You know what, I would not come before the board here and not have a solution in my mind. You know, you bring them a problem, people bring problems, but they never come with a solution. I've got a solution. You know what? It's a finder's fee. You know, he brings in $5 million, 10% of that would be just about right. What do you think?
Well, I think the veterans I think the veterans who are receiving the $5 million aren't going to be interested in getting that. So let's keep their $5 million and let's find some other source to be able to.
They're spending that $5 million in this county, and we know that for every dollar burned and brought in tax-free like that, changes hands how many times? Anybody in business knows that. It's 7 times or something like that? Yeah, so I think, okay, make it a 5% finder's fee. Thank you.
Now you're talking.
Yeah. I'd like to see us agendize this, Richard.
It's in the works right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it has been. Mel has brought it to the board.
Yeah, I know,
Talked about it
I know,
at
I know
budget
what
time,
you're talking
So it's
about.
not a new issue, it's one that needs to be put to bed.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Calgara. I just got picked up. I'm going to be one of the veterans leader specialists that just got hired. All right, I've been in the military for 13 years. Spent 3 tours Iraq, 2 tours Afghanistan. It was Mike Stark who helped me with navigate the VA because I got no help federally. It's going to be guys like Todd, girls like Sam, where they're going to be the ones helping us out. Now, I'm doing mine. I'm going to college. I'm going to be a psychologist. But I'm eventually going to go federal. Somebody else is going to wind up being a peer leadership specialist, or however it ends up working out. Now, the thing is that what we have is absolutely necessary. The drawdowns and stuff, what a lot of people don't know, when guys leave the military, what happens to those guys? The military sends them back to their home of record. And then they branch out from there. Or they stay wherever they land. And without that help, those guys are stuck in the water, and then they end up being the entire town's problem. Sheriff's Department, Police Department, AA, everybody else ends up dealing with their issues because they don't know where else to go. And that's part of why what we're doing is so important. Because at that point, if they don't get that help, they wind up being a larger drain on our society as a whole than we ever could have. You end up with the guys who have the drug and alcohol issues, not only the PTSD and the TBI. A lot of people don't realize TBI issues are a whole lot more important than they ever were back before because they're getting as bad as they are. It's concussion after concussion. There's nothing like having a guy who's 20, 30 years old, who's in good shape, and has the same issues as a lot of the same issues that an Alzheimer's patient has. You have that guy that doesn't know where he's at and he freaks out. And without that help, they end up having even more issues because they get locked up. You end up with even more PTSD issues stacked up on top of that. So as far as the money and stuff that's needed to pay for this and to help push this across and to help end up making it so that everyone gets the help that they need, it's absolutely necessary. And it's not something that, hey, yeah, we can joke around, we can laugh about it, and friggin' maybe a year and a half to 2 years, something might actually get done about it. But unless we actually do it now, and it doesn't get put off, we're gonna end up with a bigger issue than probably 10, 12 times as big of an issue as we had before. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else would like to talk in the public comment? Well, I certainly appreciate, Todd, the information you putting this back in front of us and Melody and the public, and the tremendous job you're doing. I think we could come up with a situation that serves everybody's needs, including,
Thank you, I appreciate that.
so the action requested is to receive reports, so with that, let's take up item H6.
Mr. Chairman, before we take up item H6, could we, as Evan asked that maybe the chair direct Mr. Egan to come back to the board and as soon as it's practical to address the other issues dealing with pay and the budgets as has been outlined by Ms. Brawley. I'd like to make sure that is on the record.
Me too. We could try and get that from our. Thanks. Okay, item H6. Yeah, I think it's good. Just quick ones to them. Hi.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jen Branning, acting chief probation officer. Today what we have before you is in the governor's budget in the recidivism reduction fund. $8 million was allocated to county boards of supervisors in order to pass out to community and faith-based organizations within their county in consultation with the CCP. In order to obtain the money to be able to hand out through a grant RFP, a letter of interest would have to be sent, and I think that that is in your packet, and we wanted to make sure that we brought that forward to you guys so that you would have a chance to look at that to see whether you wanted to apply for those funds or not. And it's a one-time pot of money, and it's $10,000. 5 to 10% of it, well, 5% of it, sorry, will go towards the administration of the grant, so it would be $500. It's in consultation with the CCP to provide for one of the numerous needs outlined in order to reduce recidivism within the community. That has to be sent to the Board of State and Community Corrections by September 30th. Are there any questions?
You know, you see these things come across all the time, and there's always some hidden strings attached. What are the hidden strings attached on this?
I really looked through this, and I was in Sacramento yesterday, or last week, at the Chief Probation Officers of California conference, and basically what it was is a lot of the community-based organizations and faith-based organizations went to the governor and said that there was a lot of money being spent on realignment and reducing recidivism, and they wanted to be able to have a chance to have some stake in that and to be able to make a difference. So the only other string that I can see is that there is reporting, and the Board of Supervisors would have to receive the reports from whatever community-based organization you award the grant to. You would have to receive that report and then forward it on to the Board of State and Community Corrections at the end of the grant period.
Who do you see writing the report? You?
I didn't see that. I wanted to make sure that I put all of this together so that you guys wouldn't miss out on an opportunity to be able to grant some of that money to a community or faith-based organization within the county. And for you guys to be able to take a look at that and see whether you wanted to sign the letter of intent or not. It's in consultation with the CCP, and the way that we would be able to build it into the RFP for the organization that applied for it is that they would have to provide the report to the Board of Supervisors, and then you guys would then be able to pass it through to the Board of State and Community Corrections. So that it reduced the workload for all of us and actually put it back on the organization that's doing the work with the money.
been here for 3.5 hours, we need to at least get some of that $500.
Actually, that $500 is going, back to the general funds.
Yeah.
I got a letter about it and talked to Richard, and we thought that we'd bring it forward.
Just one point, on the letter you're gonna be sending to this Councilman Howard, that Mary's being asked to sign, it shows the date is September 9th is the date of the letter. It talks about the board action on September 23rd, so my recommendation is that that letter be regenerated with a date that's either today or some date after September 23rd, so that it's kind of odd the way it jumps out at that. So make it something that, you're writing this letter on September 9th saying this action that took place on September 23rd, which is still like 2 weeks out.
And they realize that, the reason why that it's like that is because the Board of State and Community Corrections realizes that everybody's gonna write the letter on whichever day they choose, and then they still have at least 2 or 3 weeks that it's gonna get to the Board of Supervisors because of your timeline.
Well, I can understand it coming from
Submission,
you,
so-
and I can understand it coming from the people who are preparing it. When you're asking the chairman to sign it based on an action today, he's not doing a prospective letter, he's doing a post after the fact letter. So I think it would be appropriate for at least this letter to be dated something either today or following today, rather than being 2 weeks ago.
Any other comment? Any public comment on this before we take action? Jennifer, thank you. Yeah. And I think
Did we get a second?
not yet.
Thank you.
Yes, we did.
Thank you.
Thanks for the work. And,
Thank you.
all right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Alrighty, item H7.
Can I have the chairman sign it and we'll just change the cover page? Okay?
Just update today on it, just change the date.
Item H7. Aye.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Sorry,
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Norma Sheets, Lassen County Treasurer Tax Collector, and I'm here today for the discharge of accountability for the Office of Recovery and Reimbursement. And what this pertains to are cases within that office that are deemed uncollectible due to a defendant either being in prison, deceased, basically unable to collect or unable to fine. And usually it's because it's 10 years or older that we deem these cases uncollectible for that reason. It does not alleviate the defendant from the, or the debtor from his or her legal liability to pay, but it just relieves the department of expending energies to try to collect these fees that we feel are uncollectible at this point in time.
questions of board members?
One question, say you can't collect from one person right now because they don't have a job, et cetera, but say 7 years from now, they get a decent job, et cetera. Would you be able to go back and look at your old file?
Well, we don't on that instance because lots of times we don't know when they're employed. What happens usually if somebody does come back into our system, it's because they've been in prison, they've been released, and they come to our office to see what fines and fees that they owe, and at that point in time we can bring that account back into the system. Or it could be a person that we have discharged the case and they've come back into the system once again, and then we can also go back and look to see if they had prior charges with us that were discharged. But these are just, it's basically they're just being removed from our, from all of the efforts that we put out to try to collect from them at that point in time. We're not going to bill this individual anymore. We're not going to send them up to the franchise tax board for court order debt or tax intercept. So it just depends. It's kind of like a case-by-case basis, how they enter back into the system or if they do.
Can you turn these into collections agencies and let them pursue?
We could, there is a possibility of working with Shasta County maybe down the line. That's something that Nancy Cardenas and I are looking at. However, one